Okay, everyone, it is August 22nd, 2025, and it is 9:03 a.m. It's time to call the Indianapolis Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Committee to order. So I'll start with myself, Steve Arnold, and Steve Franklin, go to the left.
I'm Ryan Cannon from the town of Avon.
Ryan Wilhite from Indigo. Anna Swanky.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Anna Gremley, IMPO. Jennifer Kroll, IMPO.
Sean with the computer.
Kristen Sanchez, MPO.
Eric Watt and this county. He called from there, be sure.
Okay, we got a quorum, we'll go ahead and get started here. Item number 2 on the list, the minutes from April 25th, 2025. So any corrections or changes? If not, motion to recess, motion to approve.
Second, Wilhite.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, go to item number 3. Acceptance of financial reports, Kristen Sanchez.
Okay, I think it's been a minute since this committee has met, since April. We finished spending down the 2024 PL funds and are actively spending down 2025 PL funds now. We closed out our state fiscal year 2025 for the federal fund exchange program. We had an allocation of just over $60 million for the year and ended up carrying forward about $24 million into the next year. That was not spent on construction projects. So those funds, because we're under the exchange program now, just carry over into 2026 and are still set aside for those projects that are yet to go to their lettings. And then in total for the exchange program for the year to date, if we remember correctly, we received the funds from, I believe in late September or early October last year. Came up with our investment strategy for the year. So for about 9 months of investing funds, our total interest was a little over $1 million. So I think that's a very promising first year to date. And so we're getting ready to set up our 2026 now to come up with that investment strategy for the year. And I'm working with NDOT to get our allocation hopefully in the coming weeks for that as well. And lastly, for Ready, I think we're really in a good pattern now with getting the projects invoiced, getting them submitted to IEDC, and getting the funds back out to the vendors. The 70-40 is about 74% dispersed today, and 180 is just behind it at about 71%. So they're moving pretty well. And spending that funds. So any questions on any of the line items on any of the reports?
Where is so I think I'm seeing it on here. Hold on, sorry, I need to zoom in on this. The recording of the investment activity, is that 1,500 investments, I assume?
That's something that we're gonna work with our bank over the next year. Right now, or at least for the past year, we haven't had a good method of separating out the interest earned on the account. Right now, you can really only see the interest on exit 5210 excess, I'm sorry. And that's the amount that we're receiving just kind of by having the larger federal exchange bank account open, and carrying a larger balance between that account and our operational account. Generally receive between maybe $7,000 to $10,000 a month. And those are deposited into the operational account, and then we transfer them over to the exchange account. So that's what you're seeing there. We do need to come up with a better method of separating out interest incurred from what we have invested month to month. And so we'll work on that over the coming year. We had a meeting with kind of our rep from the investment group 2 weeks ago, I think. And he was helping us separate that out a little better.
So 5210 interest on excess is
That is just kind of like bank account interest.
bank account
Yeah,
interest.
that's
but the
not
investment
showing.
account is not.
It's not separated out right now,
Okay.
so.
I saw something in that's the income statement, I saw something in the balance sheet.
Yeah,
Is that the,
you won't see it separated out right now.
okay,
It's
Thank you.
not. Yeah. But we'll get that flowing correctly and a proper account set up for it moving forward. So,
I think now's a good time to remind everybody to put intentionally that federal exchange money in a separate thing. While all the county people, you could just keep like for Excel spreadsheet and still track those funds. I don't know, it was, I think, very important to us, while we're back on, it's on. It was very important to us to just really clearly delineate that infrastructure money in a separate bank account. We are, right, incurring a little bit more bank fees by having two accounts, but it just, and I think our mind to like very have that line of separation there, so.
Any other questions or comments?
is it possible, and I'm not, I'm not making a request right now, so it's more of just like a query, to staff to think about, a way to maybe provide a memo along with this. I apologize in that I think it would be it might be a little bit more helpful for me, or highlighted areas of the different statements that we have to be able to follow along with what you're saying. Like I said, not a request or anything at this point, but it's just something where I want to be able to, ask questions and
Yeah.
and my apologies, I feel like I'm just seeing a bunch of numbers and they're not. It's a beautiful mind, but not adding up, so it's nothing that you guys are doing, it's more about me understanding.
If we, in a memo, do you just wanna see like highlights, significant changes, items we wanna?
I mean, I think just what Kristen was like verbally talking about is probably sufficient, or maybe in that highlighting specific line items that we want to highlight for this particular meeting as major changes might be helpful for me. Otherwise, I think I'm just gonna dust off my accounting brain at some point. I did take a class on that at one point, but it was 25 years ago.
So Kristen, you guys not count your obligation to projects as liabilities?
I don't think we do. That's not the way we set up our accounts. You'll see, I think when you scroll down on the balance sheet, you'll see the accrued liabilities kind of for our payroll withholdings, but those are the only accounts that will offset those, and then, I mean, they're paid out each month, so at one point in the month, they should zero out, when the vendor bill comes in and we pay it out, but that's really those are the only liability accounts that we generally track.
Did you track those separately somewhere else? Like you know what you have outstanding potentially to be paid to projects when they're ready, correct?
For federal exchange or for the operational side of?
Well, probably more to the federal exchange, just because that's more significant.
Yeah, for federal exchange, we have a running list of everything that we have programmed for the year, what we have awarded to the projects. And set aside, we have a tracker sheet of when those funds are invested through and when they'll be coming back to us. So that is tracked outside of the financial system.
Yeah,
But-
operational side, yes. Operational, but-
I think once the federal exchange projects are brought forward to you guys, to enter into an agreement. And that IMPO LPA contract, they are entered into.
Hi, I'm working for Anna. Hi, I'm with security. And I don't know if you know, the building has no water right now, so we have no restrooms that you can use inside. But we do have portalets that, if you need to, just, contact the security guard here and he'll get you out the doors to get to the portalets. So we just want to apologize. Water's been out since yesterday. They broke the main line and they're still trying to fix it.
Okay. I thought the security guard came in and gave us a thumbs up and it was back on. No,
Yeah,
Oh.
and it's not,
okay,
it's still off.
just kidding. Okay.
So,
Good thing I used.
if it comes back on before your meeting, I can come let you know,
Yeah, you
or
could just come in and like give us a thumbs up in case anybody.
I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, we were talking about the financial reports. Is there more questions and comments here? Anybody? And I think we need a motion for the acceptance of the report, correct? Correct.
So moved, Brian Miller.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, the IMPO 2026 budget, John Northrup.
Lou, I'm gonna work through that spreadsheet really quickly. We've got about a $7 million budget, just shy of a $7 million budget for 2026. At the very top, I'll just go across the blue bars. There's grant revenue at the top. We have about $5.5 million of grant revenue from the sources listed. And then matching for it, about 1.4 million, so it's a total of 6,979,520. Just below that, you see salaries and benefits. The total for 2026 is $1.9 million in salaries and benefits. Administrative expenses is next. Contract services, non-personnel facilities, travel and other, $916,000 for 2026. And then finally, the balance goes to the consulting budget, $3.3 million for next year. There's a memo that accompanies this with the assumptions. We've talked about this for the last couple of years, and including our list of assumptions. So we've got our medical increase assumption, our salaries assumption, interns, disability, life, unemployment, fringe benefits, and then total overhead, which increased to PL. We had been hovering anywhere between 51 and 54% for the last decade. We're down to 42% of our total award goes to overhead now, which is really healthy. We're the only MPO in the state that's less than 100%. So that puts us in a pretty, we're one of, I think, one, two, less than 100%, so that puts us in a pretty good position there to not have to flex construction dollars over for operating. And we don't see that as being an issue, even down the road. Operational expense assumptions are listed as there, and then the noteworthy 2026 planning projects, which I'm happy to go through again if you'd like. I did it at the policy meeting on Wednesday. We have a fairly busy planning year, 2026 coming up, major update to the MTP, active transportation plan, and a really significant data year again. We'll finish the household travel survey, do an onboard survey, so with Indigo, significant updates to the travel demand model, a couple of new smaller sketch modeling to scenario planning, and vision eval is a new policy modeling tool we'll have. We're pretty excited about. So a significant over $1 million data next year. The following 2 years will be heavier plan than data. But yeah, that's all spelled out in the workbook.
Any questions for Sean? Any comments? If not, I think we need a motion to approve resolution 2025-exec 0012.
Sorry, I do have a question. So I was looking at the resolution. I think it's great that you mentioned the policy committee approving the UPWP. I was, we've talked about this before, Sean. Is there anything in the executive budget, this budget that we're approving, that is not for transportation related funding?
It's not for transportation related funding. Yes, there's a $25,000 BPA county for RPA engagement efforts and distance living. That's it.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, we'll go on to investment policy. Anna.
Great, thank you. This is before you today, honestly, I think it is a cleanup. This policy was brought to you late last year. And what I think happened was the wrong version was dropped into your policy packet. So bringing up the whole policy in front of you again, there are like 5 words that are being inserted and changed. And it's essentially your current language says, that project funding can't be invested, and we are actually, that is what we are investing, so it says. As well as awarded project funding and program planning fund may be invested. Provided that sufficient funds remain accessible as needed for project funding and planning. So, right, what we're doing is we're taking that money, and we're investing in it. Until each community actually needs it or has successful, right, bids that come in, right, and then. We're talking as such, we're using that for investment, so. The meeting minutes were both a little vague, I didn't feel comfortable actually making the change without bringing it before you, and but I do think it is just a word change that was intended to be changed last fall when it was brought before you. But that just, including the project funding as an eligible investment, was not included in that document, and so.
And wherever you make changes, you run it past an attorney just to make sure you're getting the wording of what you think you're getting.
Yeah, this time we didn't, just because it was such a small change. Depending on the legality of the document, I guess, yes, like, right, we're talking about some interest things, and some legal feed on interest and what we could do with that. But in this case, I have not run the version why, this was just started.
Any questions, Brandon? No questions again, I think we're ready for action on resolution 2025 exec 0014.
Move to approve.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye. Any opposed by saying aye? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, we'll go on to the next item, the IMPO financial resolutions and agreement.
So we have a number of resolutions before you for financial approval. There is one item that is a standalone, that's a little unique. I'm gonna walk you through the ones before you currently under resolution 08. Caliper Corporation, so as you all know, we are required to have a travel demand model. It's essentially a simulation of regional traffic flow in the region at a higher level. We are asking, and it is a big contract, but it also goes through 2027, $607,000. That includes model calibration, it includes, we'll complete our household travel survey, later this year. So it includes integration of that data into the travel demand model, and it also locks Caliper Corporation into a 2-year agreement kind of at their current hourly rates. The Cordino Group, we did just get our roadways, our SS Ray grant agreement signed and executed, so we're really excited about that. So Cordino is going to help us with roadway safety audits at high crash locations throughout the region. That's $226,000. Ford Economy was selected as the IMPO's strategic plan consultant. Sean and I, Steve Cunningham for the office, and Jenny Pierce sat in the selection of that. Ford Economy is the same vendor we used last time. I will tell you, they barely squeaked out between another firm, but Ford Economy was the winner on that. That contract's $250,000. We have ETC Institute. which is the onboard survey very specifically for the red and the purple lines only. We have a number of BTC contracts that you'll hear about in a second, but this one's for doing an onboard survey essentially for the two open BRT lines. That one, Indigo is matching the 20% directly on that. And the last is the city of Indianapolis for 63,000. It's our office space. And that went up about 2% this year, so. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, the update, the child demand model, the update is $607,000.
So it's a combination of things, and you
It's
know,
about 7 new modules, so it builds a whole bunch of capabilities.
And is it, do we own this model or is it something that we have like the police or like a user agreement, like is it?
we own it,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we have a software, right, that it runs on, that we purchase the licensing for the model itself, all the pieces and components. Yeah,
And what's it cost a year for it? I mean, is this, so is it like this much money every couple of years or is it?
Spends. In a typical year where we don't do any significant updates, just regular maintenance on it's like between $50,000 and $75,000. When we build new components, the new components tend to be in the $25,000 to $50,000 each. And that's why that contract is so big this time, because there's a lot of those.
You know, we use it,
well, the IMPO uses it for our travel or for our long range transportation plan, and throughout the region, we do keep and maintain a database anytime a consultant asks us to do runs on behalf of local communities, and I bet you do you think 25, 30 requests coming a year, and they are each request oftentimes has multiple runs, so on the north side, State Road 32 was NDOT's looking at doing some different configuration with roadways. Certainly had some model run requests. County Line Road, Indianapolis off the south side had unique model requests. I'm trying to think, soccer stadium along those sides. All like, right, when you're looking at large economic development opportunities, you're changing in the system. It's not my favorite thing to spend money on, because it is so costly.
I know it says souls, are there other vendors who do the same thing and are they all that expensive?
They are. And I will tell you, kind of on the same front, we have one modeler who kind of runs the model itself. We do expect that she will retire in the next 2 to 3 years, and we probably have some decisions to make. It is a high cost salary position because of the technicalities of it. We don't provide as much technical support for locals when they're asking for model run. We honestly have been doing some succession planning and looking at overall, the model that's for that person when she decides to retire. So it is costly, the data behind it is costly, the calibration is costly.
About last year, that in Ohio, the state pays for model. That's a big difference. Yeah.
Question, any other questions?
On the Corradino group, could you talk a little more about the scope of that? Are they looking at all high crash incidents or intersections, or is it just a select number or what?
So when we originally scoped this, we thought it would be in the range of 20 to 22 intersections based on the dollar amount available. And it's high crash locations in the region. We will pull that data set and then we will go to each community. If a community, so I'll use Franklin as an example, if Franklin has a high crash location in the top 22, the first thing we'll do is go to the mayor and his engineer and say, hey, this is highlighted as a high crash location. If Mayor Barnett's like, yes, we know we are getting set to fix it next year, or we have local funds program. Then we won't touch it for a roadway safety audit, because the local, right, they're already moving forward with fixing it, have a project in the works. So then we would go down further in the list, if that makes sense. And then in previous years, we've always set aside a little bit of money to also look at vulnerable users, so we'll choose. Like, I think last time it was 3 high crash, either bike or ped locations as well, to make sure, like, if there's an area that has just like a code on, or somewhere that has had a high number of incidents, we will also peel those off, and look at them as well. It oftentimes requires a site visit of both the LPA, the consultant, and we have an IMPO rep, and looking like at the site design. The end product is a roadway safety audit, which in turn, we try to encourage the LPA to tee it up for highway safety improvement program funds. And we have seen, you know, look down at Kristen, a number of those projects come through in the application phase to try to then, once they have the roadway safety audit, right, they're trying to move forward with securing infrastructure funds.
So you haven't identified which intersections yet.
No, we haven't.
You'll go through the sort of the pecking order from the report.
Yeah, kind of go down the ones that are already in the works to be fixed. It's just hard because, as you know, right, like safety projects should be on a faster timeline than what the IMPO, right? Because we're 3 years out, or but yeah, if there's so.
Well, that's, yeah, I think we have 3, but 1 we've already made changes, right? So it may not, yeah.
And then the ETC Institute's contract,
Yes,
so we'll have to approve like a pretty big number next year of it then. But it's like, this is like the end of their preliminary planning this year.
so the ETC is the red and the purple. The next agenda item down, the onboard survey resolution called.
Right.
Bridge. Yeah, that one is on separately because you already approved that contract at a 50-50 match. And we're looking at changing that to an 80-20 match. So that one's a little bit different, unique, so we said that outside of the bundle.
Sorry, it's hard to tell where it starts.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, there are 2 ETC contracts. One is the one before you in this resolution is just the red and the purple onboard survey. Right, it's to understand the ridership of those lines, where they're going, are they using for work purposes, educational purposes, the demographic of those actually riding the line. Right.
Yeah, well, that survey instrument will be slightly different. It'll have some other questions on it that won't be on the regular onboard survey. The regular onboard survey is a tool that we use. We're required to have this done so that when we make service and fare changes, we've got the demographics of the riders so that we can understand that. So feds come in and ask us, kind of, when was the last time you did it, show us results, that kind of stuff.
Any more questions for resolution dash 2025 dash exec dash 008? Need a motion?
So moved to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, saying aye. Any opposed by saying aye. Hearing none, we'll go on to item number 7 that we talked about just a little bit, the ETC on board survey.
So this is the full system. This contract was, for this resolution or similar resolution was brought before you earlier in the year. At that time, just because of the, budget constraints was, to go 50-50 on the project, as we're looking to move forward with it fiscal year 25. Since that time and some additional conversation with Indigo and additional projects moving forward, we are looking to change that to be 28% IMPO funds, 20% local match. In order to get the project started, we did initiate a $50,000 contract to develop a survey instrument, and that was at a 50-50 match. But we're looking for a resolution to expend the rest of the funds that will match. Met with the Indigo CFO, and the finance team to talk through, just because we have a number of Indigo projects, to make sure we were all on the same page as it relates to financial commitments from Indigo, and everybody understand not only their dues, but the number of projects that we were funding and the budget that's of it. This is that larger study system wide that Ryan was referencing, that that's required of them and us, I would argue, the joint project.
Just point out that the federal funds we get between a quarter and a third are from the transit administration for transit. So we try and have a number of transit planning over the course of years, try to make sure that we're spending at least as much as we're getting from transit on transit.
And Annie sent me with a very precise by task. Dollar amounts and what has been spent, what will be spent in the future. But Annie Dixon's the project manager on that project.
Which you got wasn't against the additional funding that we're making with them.
We follow.
It's created, went back down, huh? The delay and additional created some additional work, like separating off the VRT lines that it might not otherwise happen. But you're able to get it back to 80-20, and it worked out well for us. 25, we're really tight with the travel demand model, or not travel, the household travel survey. It's like once a decade of expense, right? So this works out much better.
It works for us too, because we made major changes in October. Obviously, opening the purple line gives us another year of writers getting accustomed to those changes, getting that. So we try to time some of that with those changes, so that way we're not doing a writer survey right when we're making changes.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I think we're ready for resolution 2025-011. Make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I think it's great that we need to make the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Water.
Motion carries. All right, thank you. Item number 8, IMPO Human Resources Manual updates. What are you saying?
We have water now.
Oh, that's great. So
Mark, you just came in.
He came in again.
HR manual. This is a living document. I had no idea that we would be touching it every year. No comment to the city, but when we were under them, I felt like it did change, but we've changed it based on the needs and policies and what's happening. So you'll see a list of like 7 items that we're changing. We've added a reference to the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act that recently passed. That has been updated. We added language about interns. So I realized, being interns, $15-17 an hour, and asking them to drive to Franklin from the farmer's market. That we should probably be paying them some mileage, depending on parking costs incurred, right? That's having young pro college student myself, like, right, those things are important. So we've added interns as eligible to receive those types of benefits when authorized by the executive director. We've added some clarification around alternative work policies and remote work. We've also added reference accommodations for nursing mothers, references. We added clarification that a work week for calculating overtime runs Monday Sunday, that was awful vague in there. We also, add some clarification around parking and transit pass benefits, that they could only receive their transit for a parking pass, but not both. Paid time off and final pays, we were added requirements for PTO payout at the separation of employment. We also changed from education leave to volunteer leave to expand, hopefully, the opportunities that employees would take advantage of that. And then also added, yeah, this was brought to my attention, that a required 2-week notice on, notification in order to have PTO payout. So that was not clear in our policy. We haven't had anybody take advantage of it. So I'm quitting, I'm done now, we had to pay them out, but just in case we had that, right, you're required to have that full 2 week. Notice, and then, and just do 2 weeks of getting vacation for 2 weeks and getting out, getting PTO within the last 2 weeks, that's what we authorized as well. So, just some clarification on a few things, any questions? We do hire an outside consultant for our HR in a decent run off the load. She has been incredibly helpful on staying on top of some of those legal, right? I don't know that I would know about the, because I've seen others, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act and some of those others to plus up with industry standards. So I've been dealing with any HR issues or questions, just a great resource. Item for approval.
Moves to approve, Bullock.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by saying aye? Hearing none, motion carries, thank you, we'll go on to item number 9, audit findings for 2022. So, yes.
I'm gonna try, Kristen, are you okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to share because
Yeah.
everything went very smoothly. Again, I think when we last saw you guys in April, we may have shared that we heard from the SBOA and they had relayed that they were bringing it internally to them. Things shifted again and it went back out to Crow, who we have worked with year by year. I believe they started their deep dive in mid-June. And we are complete already. We have our exit interview with them on Monday. They didn't have any findings, or any notes. So everything went very smoothly. They did have a few clarifying questions as I think they're just trying to better understand the exchange program and the flow of funds. Still kind of understanding that the ready funds are coming straight to us and then going right back out the door. But other than that, they were pleased. No other pending, so. Hopefully we have them again next year.
Ask for
We just, yeah, we just got done with our SBOA audit as well, so it's good to have no findings, no comments, that's good, so,
We're happy.
yeah, it's great.
just information only on that, correct?
I thought we had. We don't have a resolution. Can we just do an acceptance on that you received? That you find things?
I'll move you, so. That we accept the findings for the audit, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those approving say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying aye? Hearing none, we'll go on and just want to, for the record, that Mark St. John is coming into the room.
Well, I made the last 2 agenda items, I'm sorry.
If you want, I guess other items of business, Amy? That's-
I don't have anything written down. Yes, I have. Hopefully I have a list with you guys. We do have, a ProAct training that's available to you and your technical training staff. That's a virtual online training that's happening early in September. Big staff, we're pretty excited to bring this training, virtually, and there's significant interest from the work along those lines. You also should know that we do have an active tip scoring committee that's, will be going next week on its third committee meeting on reviewing and looking at different ways we can revise scoring for project structure funding. As you know, that is the crux, a part of a lot of what we do, right? It's distributing those funds. And so any changes, to scoring criteria is not. So we are working our way through that. We will, now that we have the UPWP approved and the budget approved, we'll start to see us drop a lot of our. And we'll start to gear up a lot of contracts for calendar year, fiscal year 2026. John, anything? Call for projects opens early October, so. You should be thinking about what projects you are going to submit, the work that you're in, you are submitting.
Hope to have that application packet out either later today or on Monday, so everybody should be receiving it soon. More information, interest rates, totals by pot, so.
I will note that we did do updates to the CMAC tool, so, estimating emissions, I'm not never done to know exactly. But that spreadsheet has been updated. There was a training that took place last week that is online and available for your consultant to review. If you need any additional questions or have questions beyond that, feel free to reach out to staff. That occurred and like 28 people on the call for that training, so that, obviously had a good turnout.
Also, travel survey is called Hoosier Travel Counts, and we've had lower than hoped for response rates now. It's making it just take more time. We made a big push on August 11th, week of August 11th, so if you're anybody getting those minutes, encourage them, take them, that it's a real thing. There's a landing page to go to, and call our office. But yeah, everything else is the same, right? So that's what it's not. We completed our salary survey and probably we'll talk about that in the future, but we need to dig into it and understand it a little bit. We're not way off from market. We have a few positions that are a little bit off. Audit picked up and asked about one of them, actually, which is below the minimum because we benchmarked it. And so we probably have a little bit of an adjustment there to do for just a couple of people. For the most part, we're pretty close to market. We'll talk about that in the future.
I did want to, household travel survey. It's the first time we're partnering with Anderson IMPO. So they're doing their household travel survey with the same firm, the same questions. They're just picking up their piece of it. So we are in the same air quality shed. And so just having data at the same point of time on travel, it's what's helpful for the two of us. Hopefully this is not the first time we do it virtually, between the two, sunrise projects. But it is kind of the first time in a long time we've partnered with Anderson on some of that nature. I will tell you, we did approve the 26 budget. I am really involved in the Association of MPOs. Sean and I are both going to that conference in September. I'm active on the policy committee, so they have a tech and they have a policy committee, just like we're set up. I serve on the policy level. And so the transportation bill expires September 26th, so reauthorization, right, they're expecting to have the first bill this fall. Our first draft of the bill this fall. So I went to Capitol Hill and we're talking to our delegation. I have the opportunity to brief Michigan delegation because Michigan wrapped in or had a last minute emergency. So I will continue and I anticipate my travel will probably be a little bit more next year as we're gearing up for that. I want to be a resource to IMPO and be present, helping shape when the transportation bill. We get something that that helps us in our
In our Vision Zero toolkit picked up nationally best practice. So nice to have that out there. We have a staff member going to Columbus to present their MPO. They're doing a workshop around Vision Zero. They have started municipalities that are pursuing new policies. And are pointing at ours as a good example, so. We'll then. Noting that it's like.
Good job.
The staff has really dug in on the safety elements. It's not really,
So switching gears just a little bit.
Yeah.
What you ready to, for, they have started subversive ready to, correct?
I have not heard. We are not the administrators on Ready to, I thought they were meeting for all of Ready One to have at least 50% dispersed on every project. That's the last that's heard, but
So, yeah, I think your project and our project were the first two done, and we haven't seen any money yet. I'm guessing you haven't seen any money yet, so I would say they're not giving any money out.
I did see an email go out though earlier this week, coordinating amongst agencies about preparation for 2.0 though, so hopefully. It's coming soon.
Just didn't know if you heard any stuff, so.
and to be fair, I am behind on my email slightly, the office for the week. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other business?
happy birthday to him.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
We need that with a cake or something.
I think I'm so happy to go to the bathroom.
I'll let our team know.
Well, if there isn't any other business for discussion, it's time to adjourn. Anybody wants to make a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor?